I watched 50 horror movies this year. Am I about to rank them all in one video? There's no way! In the bottom 3, we have Mouse of Horrors, Mouseboat Massacre, and I Heart Willie. These are all the Steamboat Willie IP movies. These aren't even so bad they're fun. These are just so bad they're unfun. Fear Street Prom Queen, a huge disappointment. I Know What You Did Last Summer. 825 Forest Road, painfully acted and feels like an incomplete movie. Bloody Axe Wound, Jeffrey Dean Morgan was advertised in this movie and he's in all about 2 seconds of it. The Rule of Jenny Penn, a huge snorefest. Werewolves. The werewolves are cool, but everybody else in the movie is not. And they couldn't help but make Frank Grillo an action badass, even though he's a scientist in this movie. Diced Reloaded, unfortunately a huge Art the Clown knockoff, and I'm not even kidding, down to the music and film style and mannerisms of the main antagonist. It just feels like Terrifier all over again. Until Dawn, Holy Airball on adapting an amazing video game. Brute 1976, an independent film that takes a lot from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series and doesn't feel like its own thing. The Man with the Black Umbrella, a pretty unsettling idea. This is a good short film made into a bad feature film. Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, cool ideas in here, but unfortunately becomes so ridiculous I couldn't take it serious. And this is not even the best Winnie the Pooh horror movie that came out this year. Control Freak, probably the worst paced movie on this list. Some cool effects, some pretty good scares, just painfully boring between them. Bambi the Reckoning. Now this is the best Winnie the Pooh horror film this year, and I thought this was gonna be the worst, so maybe that's why it's a little higher on the list. This one has heart, which is kind of crazy. Some pretty good bloody kills, and it's just a solid B horror movie. Woman in the Yard, again, starts off strong but becomes kind of ridiculous, and the scares dissipate pretty quickly in this. Jester 2, a big improvement on the first Jester film, but just makes it average. Him, one of my biggest disappointments this year as well. A whole lot of metaphors, but not a lot of substance. Cannibal Comedian, an independent film that also takes liberties from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but does feel a little bit more like its own thing, and it's kind of funny as well. Alma and the Wolf. This is a pretty obscure horror movie this year that you probably haven't seen. This is more of a psychological horror with a twist at the end that kind of destroys the rest of the movie for me. Coyotes, the humor in this one and Justin Long make this movie that much better. The movie is purely for coyote kills, and I think you'll have some fun with that. Wolfman, one of the first horror movies that came out this year, and it pretty much set the bar for the average horror experience in my eyes. Next, we have a few independent horror films. We got It Feeds, Traumatica, Night of the Reaper, and Your Host. And all of them have big positives, but suffer from horror cliches and independent film mistakes. The Toxic Avenger, this one is just purely for those gore freaks. This one's a fun time when you watch it, but pretty forgettable after you're done with it. Shelby Oaks, one of my favorite YouTubers growing up, made his first feature film, and it is okay. It starts off really strong, but descends into a very generic horror movie after that. Dream Eater, this one is this high purely for its scare factor. If you're looking for a movie that is purely made for scares, I think this is one of the best ones on this list. Next, we have Drop. This one was a lot more fun than I anticipated it would be. It's pretty thrilling, it's pretty cheesy, and the story plays out like an M. Night Shyamalan movie, but this one does Shyamalan better than Shyamalan has in his last few films. Final Destination Bloodlines. A solid entry in the Final Destination series. People seem to love this movie this year. I thought it was just pretty good. Black Phone 2. I'm personally a bigger fan of the first Black Phone movie. My biggest issue with this one is it suffers from a lack of stakes and consequences. Marshmallow, another independent horror film with huge Stranger Things vibes. What starts off as a familiar story becomes something pretty unique, and I do wish it expanded on that twist a little bit, and I think this movie would have been a lot higher. Clown in a Cornfield. Nothing that truly separates it from other slashers, but I look forward to seeing more of Friendo in the future. The Conjuring Last Rites. The more I think about this one, the less I'm into it, but on first watch, I was really into the heart and emotion of this film, and there are some pretty creepy demon things in this one, but everything kind of falls flat by the end of the movie. I found the emotional stuff kind of outweighs the scare factor, and that's what I really missed from the first 2 Conjuring films. Heart Eyes, the best slasher film we got this year. There weren't that many, honestly, which is kind of criminal, but again, just solid kills and solid characters, and just an overall solid slasher film. You can't go wrong with this one. The Monkey. This one is straight up ridiculous. It's a one-time watch for me, but I did appreciate what Oz Perkins tried to do with this one. Next, we got Presence. This one is shot from the perspective of the ghost, and I don't know why they marketed this movie as a scary film, because it is far from it. It's just a drama, but a good drama and a pretty good story to watch. And on that same note, we have Good Boy, which is shot from the perspective of the dog. What's the next perspective we're gonna get? I don't know. I do know Good Boy is the goodest boy, and he's what carries this movie and separates it from just being a gimmick. We are now entering the top 10, and at number 10 we have Strange Harvest. This is a true crime mockumentary, and I think this is low-key the most underappreciated horror movie this year. I had a great time with this one, and Mr. Shiny is damn terrifying. I wish the movie focused on him just a little bit more. Number 9, we have Weapons, a good movie that I think could have been great, but suffers from an elongated way of storytelling, but there is a lot to like in this one, and Aunt Gladys is an icon. The Long Walk, just an extremely thrilling journey. Who would have thought watching people walk down a road could be this exciting? The Ugly Stepsister, a really interesting and twisted take on the Cinderella story. VHS Halloween. The VHS series are very hit and miss, but for me, this one captured the Halloween magic. I found I liked every short individually for its own reasons. Some were funny, some were kind of scary, and one is extremely bleak. I think this is the perfect movie to watch on Halloween night. Number 5, we have Companion. I really loved what they did with the storytelling in this one and the lore building they did with the AI robots. I just had a great time with this one. Bring Her Back. The directors have talked to me, did it again. This is a great movie. It's just so bleak and so depressing. I don't know if I ever want to watch it again, but what I did watch was incredible stuff, and that kid in this movie, the scene with him eating that knife, still haunts me. Dead Talent Society. This is a Taiwanese horror film. This one has huge charm, and it's basically Monsters, Inc., but instead of monsters, it's ghosts who are trying to become horror legends by scaring humans on Earth. Together. This one kind of surprised me. Not only is it a good body horror film, but there are 2 very good scares in this one. It's got good lore and it's got good comedy. It pretty much has everything you need. It kind of sets up this interesting world that we don't really get to dig too deep into. If we got a little bit more of that, I think this would have been my favorite horror movie of the year. But my favorite is gonna be Sinners. Still haven't seen a movie this year that has captivated me as much as Sinners. Obviously, you know about the one scene in the movie. It is truly a spectacle, and everybody's performance in this one was incredible. Just love this movie. And that's it, guys. That is all 50 horror movies that I watched this year. Leave a comment below. What did you think of the list? What's in your top 10 and what's in your bottom 10? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to Thick Nick Films. And if you want to see my in-depth reviews on each of these movies, you can check out my letterbox right over here.